Here we go. Aswand, Cruickshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving you a perspective on teamwork that you will not get anywhere else. Recording this March 22nd, 2024, day in which everyone's talking about pro days, and in particular Caleb Williams and all the skill positions, because that's really what a lot of what gets covered by the mainstream media. But your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, who gives you the perspective on teamwork every single day. You gotta shout out the offensive lineman, man. Gotta shout out the offensive lineman because of. All right, let's just do some numbers. Let's break it all down for you real quick. All right, so the projected first offensive lineman to come out this year, 𝐓𝐇𝐈𝐒, coming out of Penn State. Last year's 2022's best offensive lineman in college, 𝐓𝐇𝐈𝐒, I believe I'm pronouncing that right, 𝐓𝐇𝐈𝐒, I believe it is. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correct. Coming from Michigan, who was the best offensive lineman in college football a year ago, the center from Michigan, all right? Then you have this year, the top recruit offensive lineman coming from high school to college, Jordan Seaton. All three of them. I'm not making this stuff up. I can't make this stuff up. All three of them have come from the same conference. All three of them are, you had 𝐓𝐇𝐈𝐒 coming from Gonzaga, 𝐓𝐇𝐈𝐒 coming from DeMatha, and you have Jordan Seaton. I know what it says on the bio. I know it says IMG, but that's a DMV guy. He went to St. John's, all right? Understand this. Understand that all the talking, the quarterbacks, the talking we do about quarterbacks, wideouts, and running backs, and all that, the mainstream press and all that, none of them are going to do shit if you don't have a solid offensive line. You've got to, if you want to build a winner, I've said this countless times, I'm going to say it over and over again, particularly because the three names that I just mentioned, all three of them have come from the same area that I came up in, all right? And, I played at Good Counsel, and for the longest time we kind of had to build our way up in regards to, all right, these linemen, with St. John's and Gonzaga in particular, they're located in DC, but DeMatha is right there on that DC PG borderline and stuff. So, there was a lot of, I remember actually my first time I ever started in a varsity football game was against DeMatha. And I had it was my junior year, and I had a great game that day. And I remember, because normally we would play DeMatha twice a year, one in the regular season and the other in the playoffs. And I remember Coach Gent, who was our linebackers coach, coming up to me when it came time to play them the second time. And he looks at me, he goes, "Hey, look, I know the O-line coach at DeMatha, real nasty guy. He said it just like that. He goes, "Look, I know that O-line coach at DeMatha is a real nasty guy. He's not going to like, us linebackers out there shooting his A-gaps and all that. So you better get ready for this next one." And that's why even to this day, I have this mentality that I have, because I was in that conference competing against those types of linemen. And it was a level of competition that was not even duplicated when I even played at the collegiate level, right? So, as far as today's Move Swiftly thought, I want you guys to understand something. I want you guys to think about something here real quick, because the two undefeated teams that I played for in my life was 2002 when played for the White Oak Warriors, and we went undefeated, won the championship. And then 2 years later, I played for another undefeated team at Good Counsel. It was my JV year when I was a sophomore, and we went undefeated. Those are the only two times in my life that I played for a team that won all the games. That was the goal. It's always the goal, is to win all your games, go undefeated, and win that chip, win that natty, right? The common denominator in those two teams was the head coach at the White Oak Warriors, head coach, Coach Vassos. And when I was at Good Counsel, the head coach was a guy named Coach John Bonasisi. This is our JV year. Both of them focused solely on the offensive line. That's what they did, all right, throughout the entire practices, throughout everything. They made sure that the offensive line was straight. And like I said, we went undefeated. And as we translate that, well, first of all, before I translate that into the business world, I want to make sure I mention this book. I want to make sure I mention the book Outliers, because the reason I talk and I think about outliers so much is because as a kid, you don't plan these things. When you're grooming yourself, when you're trying to pick your career, when you're trying to figure out what it is you're trying to do with your life, you don't recognize that the things that you're a part of, the things that you are kind of blessed, these unique opportunities that you've been blessed with, those all lead to success. The book documents a hockey team that had a leg up on a hockey all-star team, I should say, that had a leg up on several other players because they were born after a specific date. He talks about how think it was the Beatles who were playing for hours and hours and hours in some particular club, and now they made it because of the hours and hours of practice. And these are unique. We're not taking away from the hard work, but I know for me in my life personally, had I not been a part of that conference, had I not been playing that specific position against that caliber of coaching and those caliber of offensive linemen, I know my mindset isn't the way my mindset is, where I produce this content every day and I can give you this perspective on teamwork every day, where I can see it and I can translate what builds a championship winning football team into what builds a championship winning a champion business. All right, because as we translate that into business, when it comes to, again, what the mainstream media likes to talk about with the QBs, the wideouts, the running backs, and all the skill positions that sell a lot of jerseys, sell a lot of tickets, that have huge, massive fan bases, that is great. And, you know, it's great to sell tickets and all that kind of stuff, and ain't nobody telling you not to make your money. But in regards to what's going to build a winner, it's going to be the men up front. It's going to be the beef up front. It's going to be the people that you can get up front to protect your quarterback, people that can block for your O-line, the people that can make it so they're making calls, they're disrupting the line of scrimmage, whether it's offense or defense. You got, in what we call that here in the Move Swiftly world, we call it those front team workers. Those front team workers, the same thing when you're building a car. It's as nice as it may look on the outside, it's not running without that engine, without a solid engine. You gotta have these things. You gotta have these things in place. Look at this beautiful shopping center on me. Look at it. It's great, right? But you gotta have the foundational pieces. You gotta make sure you secured the land. You gotta make sure the floor plans are right. You gotta make sure the roof is right. You gotta make sure all the things are right so you can go walk into a store like this and purchase products and sell products and, you know, do merch and stuff and things of that nature. Everything is going to be about that front team and building up that, essentially, right, metaphorically, that O-line in your business. So make sure the foundation is where it needs to be if you want to build a winner, all right? Main website to check out to dive deeper into all my work, makeyourmove.com. That's MAKEYAMOVE.com. One-stop shop for your teamwork and your self-development needs. Aswand, Cruickshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.